The sky above was deep green, and the clouds looked like smoke. Tomas lay still, half buried in thick, golden grass. His ship had crashed. The air smelled strange like wet metal and flowers. He opened his eyes slowly, blinking away the dust. All around him, the world buzzed with sounds he didn't recognize. Strange bird-like creatures called from the trees. Insects hummed. The jungle was alive. Tomas sat up with a wince. His left leg hurt badly. He looked down and saw the tear in his flight suit just above the knee. Blood had dried around it. The cut was deep, but not life-threatening. At least, not yet. His escape pod was a few meters away, smoking and bent. The fire was out, but the beacon light was off. That meant no signal. No one would know where he was. Tomas took a slow breath. He had trained for this. Survival. He reminded himself. Stay calm. Assess the situation. He reached into the pod and pulled out the survival pack, water capsules, protein bars, a flare, a scanner, and a small field knife. He grabbed the portable medical kit and patched his leg as best he could. He limped away from the crash site, deeper into the jungle. He needed shelter. Night was coming fast, and he didn't know what lived here. The world of Varela was both beautiful and dangerous. The trees were tall and silver. Their leaves glowed slightly, giving off soft blue light. Flowers the size of his head swayed as if they could breathe. Vines moved slowly, like snakes that had forgotten how to strike. Tomas set up a small shelter beneath a rock ledge. He built a fire using dried bark and heat sticks from his pack. The warmth comforted him. He chewed a protein bar and drank some water. The pain in his leg throbbed, but he was alive. As the stars came out, more stars than he'd ever seen, Tomas stared up and thought about home. Earth was far away, too far for a rescue to arrive quickly. He might be stuck here for weeks, maybe longer. He looked around. This place wasn't empty. Something was watching him. The next morning, he checked the scanner. No human signals, but there were life signs nearby, hundreds of them. Some moved fast, others stayed still. Most were small. A few were large. Tomas kept moving. He walked slowly, dragging his hurt leg, but always alert. He didn't want to stay too close to the crash site. Fires drew attention, and he had seen shadows the night before. Something had come close while he slept. He found a clearing with a small pool of water. It looked clean. He refilled his bottle, washed his face, and cooled his wound. That's when he saw a tall figure standing beyond the trees. It was thin, at least 2 heads taller than him, and covered in some kind of natural armor that shimmered like glass. Its face was hidden behind a dark plate, and long arms hung at its sides. It didn't move. Tomas froze. He didn't reach for his knife. He didn't run. He simply watched it, and it watched him. Then, slowly, it stepped back into the forest and vanished. That night, he didn't sleep well. He dreamed of eyes in the trees and strange voices in the wind. When he woke, the fire was out, and small tracks circled his shelter. Not animal tracks, footprints, 3-toed, long, deep. He checked his supplies. Nothing was taken, but someone had definitely been there. Over the next 2 days, Tomas noticed more signs. A pile of berries placed near his shelter. A smooth stone shaped like a circle. A drawing on a nearby rock. It looked like a stick figure, holding something like a light. It was clear now. He wasn't alone, and whoever or whatever lived here was trying to communicate. He spoke out loud once, unsure why. "I don't mean harm," he said. "I just want to survive." There was no answer, just the rustling of leaves. On the 4th day, his leg worsened. The wound was red, swollen, and hot. His medical kit was almost empty. He needed help, but he didn't know who to trust. That night, the figure returned. Tomas was too weak to stand. He lay against the stone wall, breathing hard. The figure stepped into the clearing without fear. Up close, it was even taller than he remembered. Its limbs were thin but strong. Its body moved like it was floating. It reached out and gently touched his injured leg. Tomas tensed, but the figure didn't hurt him. Instead, it leaned closer and made a soft clicking sound, like whispering through glass. Then, for the first time, it spoke. The voice was light, layered, and full of echoes. The words were slow, as if learning them while speaking. You are not possible. Tomas blinked. What? The figure stood silent, staring at his wound. It touched its own chest, then pointed at him. You change. Not like us. Tomas tried to speak, but sleep pulled him down like a wave. His last thought, before darkness took him, was simple. Tomas opened his eyes slowly. The sun was rising, and soft light filtered through the silver trees above. He felt weak. His leg burned, and his body was heavy. But something was different. He was no longer in his shelter. He lay on a smooth surface, inside a round cave-like room. The walls glowed with a faint purple light, and strange symbols danced across them, slowly shifting in shape. The air was warm and filled with a light scent like fruit and wet stone. Tomas sat up with effort. His leg was wrapped in clean white cloth, and a blue paste covered the wound. The pain was less now. He looked around, trying to understand where he was. A soft clicking sound echoed through the room. Tomas turned. A tall figure stepped in, the same one from before. The armor on its body shimmered in shades of green and gold. Its head moved slowly, and its large dark eyes locked onto his. The creature said nothing at first. It walked to a table and placed a bowl in front of him. Inside were soft pieces of fruit, glowing slightly. Tomas hesitated but took one. It tasted sweet, like honey and orange. You live, the creature said in a soft voice. Each word spoken slowly. Tomas nodded. Thanks to you, the creature studied him. Your body. Strange, not weak, but not like us. Tomas smiled a little. I get that a lot. As hours passed, Tomas learned more. The cave was not a prison. It was part of a large underground space, built beneath the jungle. Smooth tunnels connected different rooms, some filled with glowing crystals, others with flowing water and strange machines. The creatures called themselves the Jaran. They were a hive species connected through thought, like silent voices in each other's minds. Tomas could not hear them, but he saw how they moved. As one, they didn't speak much, only when needed. But one among them was different. She was taller than the others. Her armor was silver blue, and her eyes glowed softly. When she entered the room, the others bowed. She walked slowly, with calm power. She was the Jaran queen. She came to Tomas and stared at him. Her voice was smooth, soft, and clear. You bleed, but you do not stop. Why? Tomas blinked. Because I have to keep going. That's what we do. The queen tilted her head. We do not suffer. If one is broken, another replaces it. You continue. Why? He looked at her, confused. Because we don't give up. That's human. The queen's eyes narrowed slightly. Human. She stepped closer. Then she bent down and gently touched his bandaged leg. Her hand glowed faintly. As she scanned him, her touch was cold, but not painful. You fight sickness. Not with tools, but inside. Your cells attack infection. This is not possible. Tomas frowned. For humans, it's normal. The queen stood slowly. Not to us. Our bodies change by command. Yours change by will. Later, Tomas was guided through the hive. The Jaran didn't speak much, but they watched him closely. Some came near and studied his face. Others kept their distance, clicking softly as if unsure what to think. He saw creatures that looked like flying snakes, floating jellyfish with lights inside, and tree-like beings that moved their branches when he passed. The hive wasn't just a place, it was a live dot in one large chamber. Jaran workers placed strange objects into tall pods. The pods glowed for a moment, and then copies of the objects formed inside perfect replicas. The Jaran could copy anything they touched. That's how they survived. But when one of them tried to scan Tomas's blood, the pod sparked and failed. The queen saw it happen. She stepped forward, holding the small scanner in her hands. It blinked red. Your code does not follow patterns, she said. You changed fast. You resist us. Tomas didn't fully understand, but he said, maybe that's a good thing. She looked at him. You are not just a visitor. You are something different. That night, Tomas sat near a glowing pool. The air was cool, and soft lights drifted above the water like floating stars. The queen joined him again, alone this time. She sat beside him in silence for a long moment. Then she spoke, not in command, but in curiosity. "Why do you dream?" Tomas turned to her. "Everyone dreams. It helps us think, feel, remember." The queen looked at the pool. "We gave up dreams long ago. Too many thoughts, too much noise. Now we are one. No confusion, no pain, but also no wonder." Tomas said quietly, "That sounds peaceful, but also empty." The queen didn't answer. Instead, she touched the water. Her reflection shimmered beside his. "You feel fear, and still. You explore. That is not logic. That is choice." Tomas nodded. "Exactly." She turned to him, her eyes glowing. "You are not possible. And yet, you are real." Later, as Tomas slept in a crystal chamber, far from the jungle, whispers moved through the hive. Not all Jarn were pleased. Some feared what Tomas represented. A creature that could not be copied. A being that felt pain, chose his path, and changed without order. He was a danger to the unity of the hive. In a dark tunnel, a group of Jarn gathered. Their eyes glowed red, and their thoughts moved like sharp wind. The human must not stay. He breaks the pattern. He must be studied or removed. But in the queen's private chamber, she stood alone, watching Tomas's reflection in a glowing orb. For the first time in her life, she felt something new. Not command, not duty, curiosity. Tomas woke slowly. The crystal light above him was soft and gentle, like early morning on earth. His leg no longer hurt. He sat up and looked at it. The blue paste had healed most of the wound. The Jarn medicine was strong, far beyond anything he had used before. Still, something strange had happened. The queen had touched his wound and reacted like she had seen a ghost. She had whispered, "You're not possible." Tomas could not forget her voice. Later that day, Tomas was called to a high chamber. The guards walked beside him. They didn't speak. Their steps were silent. Tomas had gotten used to their quiet ways. But today the silence felt heavier, like something was wrong. Inside the chamber, many Jarn stood in a circle. Their eyes glowed in different colors, and light patterns moved across their armor. In the center stood the queen. Tomas stepped forward. The queen looked calm, but her eyes were deeper now, like she had been thinking too long and too hard. "You are healing," she said. Tomas nodded. "Yes, thanks to you." She stepped closer and stared at his leg again. "Your blood fights back. Even against our medicine, it changes faster than we can understand." Tomas tilted his head. "It's part of being human." The queen touched a glowing stone on the wall. A large image appeared. Tomas's blood under a scanner. The red cells moved like dancers, spinning and changing shape. A blue glow pulsed through them. "Our scanners copy all life," she said. "Every plant, every beast, even metal. But not you." Tomas looked at the image. "I guess I don't fit in." The queen turned to the others. "He cannot be copied. His form rejects us. His body adapts too fast. His thoughts cannot be read." This has been possible. A deep clicking sound filled the chamber. Some Jarn shifted nervously. Others stepped back. "He may be a danger," one of the guards said. "He does not belong. He is a puzzle," the queen replied, "and puzzles must be studied." Tomas spent the next few days under quiet watch. He was not locked up, but he was not alone. Everywhere he went, Jarn followed. He explored. More of the hive, large chambers filled with glowing roots, tall machines that hummed with soft energy, and pools that held living memory crystals. He asked questions, but most Jarn didn't answer. Only the queen spoke to him now. One evening, she called him to the Chamber of Echoes, a round room with walls that shimmered like water. She stood at the center, waiting. "Long ago," she said, "we were not one mind. We had names. We had dreams." Tomas stepped closer. "What changed? We gave up choice to gain peace. We shared thought. We became stronger. But now, I wonder what we lost." She reached out and placed her hand on his chest. "You are alone. You feel pain. But you are strong, not broken. Tomas nodded. Sometimes pain teaches us more than peace. She studied him quietly. You bring change just by being here. The hive feels it, deep underground. Others did not agree. A group of elder Jarn gathered in the shadows. Their thoughts were sharp and cold. The queen is losing her path. The human must be controlled or removed. They had watched Tomas closely. His body confused the scanners. His ideas confused the younger ones. Some Jarn had even started to copy his movements, standing straighter, walking alone. Asking questions. The elders feared this. He breaks the balance, one said. He must be studied fully, even if he does not survive. That night, Tomas had a strange dream. He stood on a mountain of glass, looking up at a sky filled with stars. The stars moved, spinning faster and faster. A voice called out soft, but strong. Why do you fight? It asked. Tomas answered, because we must. The voice came again, even when you are alone. Yes, Tomas said, especially. Then, he woke up covered in sweat. A low hum filled the air. The door to his room opened. Two guards stood outside. Come with us, one said. They led him through a dark tunnel, far from the bright parts of the hive. The walls here were rough and cold. Tomas didn't like the feeling. Something was wrong. They entered a small chamber. A table stood in the center. Strange machines hummed around it. Another Jarn, one he had not seen before, stood waiting. Its armor was dark red, and its eyes were like ice. You are to be scanned, the red one said. Tomas frowned. I already was. This time, fully. No barriers, no delay. Tomas backed away. I don't agree to this. The guards moved forward, but before they could grab him, a sharp sound filled the room, a deep tone, like a gong made of wind. The queen stepped in. Stop. Her voice echoed like thunder. The guards froze. The red Jarn turned. He must be studied. Not without his will, the queen said. That is not our way. He is not one of us. But he is under my care, she replied. There was silence. Then the queen stepped between Tomas and the table. Take him back. The guards obeyed. Back in his room, Tomas sat in silence. The queen stood at the doorway. You risked a lot, he said quietly. She nodded. Some of my kind fear what they do not understand. But I choose curiosity. Tomas looked at her. Why? She looked up at the ceiling, where soft lights floated like stars. Because you made me remember something I had forgotten, she said. The feeling of wonder. The hive of the Jarn was no longer quiet. Whispers moved through the glowing tunnels like wind through dry leaves. Jarn workers paused in their tasks. Their eyes flickered with uncertain light. Some looked toward the queen's chambers, others turned away when Tomas passed. Something was changing. Tomas felt it. The stares were different now, no longer curious, but unsure. The Jarn guards stayed closer to him, but not in a friendly way. He noticed the clicks between them were faster, sharper, like warning signs. He sat by the memory pool, where floating crystals showed old Jarn history. Today, the crystals were still. No stories played, only silence. The queen joined him there. They fear you, she said gently. Tomas looked at her. Because I'm different, yes, and because some of them feel different now too. He tilted his head. What do you mean? She touched the water. A ripple spread, showing an image Jarn workers walking alone, not in groups. A few painted strange symbols on walls. One Jarn even made something like a face on rock, eyes, nose, mouth, a human face. They have never done this before, she said. They are starting to act like you. Tomas sat quietly. Maybe that's not a bad thing. The queen's voice was low. To me, it is not. But to others, it is a threat. In the great hall, high above the rest of the hive, the elders gathered. They were the oldest Jarn. Their bodies were covered in thick, dark shells. Their minds were linked in strong, silent threads. They did not speak often, but when they did, the whole hive listened. Now, they spoke of the human. He brings disorder, said one. He cannot be copied, said another. He teaches the young to wonder, said a third, and to question. They watched a memory crystal of Tomas speaking to young Jarn. He had taught them a simple earth game, stacking stones without letting them fall. The Jarn had never played. They laughed and awed. Soft sound not heard in the hive for many generations. "This is not our way," said one elder. "We are not built for choice. We are built for unity." The queen stood before them, tall and calm. "But is that the only way?" she asked. They looked at her with slow, steady eyes. "Your mind is drifting. You are letting the human pull you into chaos." "I am learning," she replied. "Is that not our purpose?" "No, our purpose is to survive." Meanwhile, Tomas walked the edge of the hive. He found a path that led to a quiet place. It looked like a forgotten chamber, half covered in moss and vines. Inside was old Jarn writing carved into stone. He touched one of the carvings. It showed many Jarns standing apart from each other, each with their own symbol above their heads. Not one mind, but many. A young Jarn entered quietly behind him. Her eyes glowed soft green. This was before the hive. She said. Tomas turned. "You know this place?" She nodded. Tomas woke early. The light in the hive was soft, glowing like a sunrise he had never seen on earth. The walls around him pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. He stood and stretched. His leg felt strong. The blue medicine had done wonders. He walked through the hive's tunnels, following the glowing signs the Jarn had made for him. Today, he felt different. He felt hopeful. As he turned a corner, he saw the queen waiting. Her eyes shone with quiet energy. She did not speak, but motioned for him to follow. They walked deeper into the hive, down narrow passages lined with glowing crystals. The air was cooler here, and the sound of flowing water grew louder. Finally, they came to a large chamber filled with old machines and broken parts. Tomas recognized some from Earth probes, satellites, and a strange box covered in dust. "This place," Tomas said slowly, "it looks like an old landing site." The queen nodded. "Long ago, humans came here. We found their machines, but we forgot them." Tomas knelt and wiped dust from the box. Suddenly, it blinked and a soft voice played. "Earth message greeting, peace." Tomas smiled. "They tried to reach us, maybe hundreds of years ago." The queen looked closely at the screen, watching the flickering images. "Why did you forget this?" "Sometimes," Tomas said, "we lose things we don't understand. We push them away." The queen walked slowly around the room, touching machines and crystals. She stopped by a glowing orb that showed images, memories stored deep inside the hive. "We erased contact," she said softly, "to protect the hive." "But not completely," Tomas said. "Because I am here." The queen looked at him. "You bring fire to cold memories. You bring light to dark places." Tomas thought about his life on Earth, the friends he missed, the family he loved. We hold onto memories. They shape us. They give us strength. The queen sat on a smooth stone. "We once held memories too, but we chose to forget for peace. Maybe peace isn't enough." Tomas said, "Maybe we need more." In the hive, not all agreed. The elders met again, their voices low and full of worry. "The human awakens old thoughts," said one. "Thoughts that could break us." "We cannot live as before," said another. The hive was built on unity. "But what if unity without freedom is death?" asked a young Jarn, her eyes shining bright. The queen listened but said nothing. That night, Tomas dreamed again. He saw flames bright and warm, but wild and uncontrolled. They danced and moved with power. A voice whispered, "Fire is both destroyer and creator." He woke with the words in his mind. The queen came to his side. "What do you see?" "Fire." Tomas said, "It can burn or it can warm. It changes things." She nodded slowly. "Maybe that is what you bring." Tomas looked at her. "Change is never easy, but it is necessary." The next day, Tomas explored the hive with Seru. She showed him places hidden from most Jarn's secret rooms where artists painted. Singers sang soft songs, and builders dreamed of new worlds. "This is what the hive hides," Seru said. "The part that wants to be free." Tomas smiled. "That's the best part." They sat by a pool of glowing water. Why do you think the queen protects me? Tomas asked. Are you thought for a moment, because she remembers, because she feels. And you? Tomas said, I want to learn, Ceres said, to feel like you do. Back in the elder chamber, voices grew louder. The hive cannot be broken, Ren said, but it can grow, the queen answered. She stood tall. We must not fear the human or what he brings. We must listen, learn, and change. The elders looked at her, some angry, some thoughtful. A long silence followed. Later, Tomas stood outside the hive, looking up at the alien sky. The stars were strange but beautiful. He thought about the message from Earth, the queen's words, and the fire in his dreams. He knew the road ahead would be hard, but for the first time, he felt the spark of hope. A hope that maybe, together, they could build something new, something better. Tomas woke to a strange quiet. The usual hum of the hive was missing. Even the glow of the walls seemed dimmer. He felt something in the air unease. He stepped out of his room and saw Jarn guards gathering in the halls. Their eyes flashed. Bright red, a sign of warning. The queen appeared quickly, her face calm but serious. We must speak, she said. Come with me. Tomas followed her through twisting tunnels deeper than before. The walls felt colder here, and shadows danced. On every side, they entered a large chamber filled with Jarn elders and warriors. The air was thick with tension. The queen stood in front of them. The hive is breaking, she said. The Minlink weakens. Some have chosen to separate their thoughts. Ren, the elder Tomas knew, stepped forward, the human's presence. Causes this chaos. It spreads doubt. The queen shook her head. It is not the human alone. It is what he brings: choice, freedom, change. One warrior growled, choice means risk. Risk means weakness. The queen's voice was strong, or strength. You cannot control what is alive. You can only guide it. Suddenly, the chamber's lights flickered and dimmed. Tomas felt a pull in his mind, a strange pressure. It was as if many voices tried to speak at once, but none were clear. The queen reached out, placing her glowing hand on his shoulder. Focus, she said. This is the hive calling. Tomas closed his eyes and listened. He felt 1,000 thoughts: fear, anger, hope, confusion, all mixed together. He opened his eyes. They are scared, yes? The queen said, change frightens all minds. Linked as one. A younger Jarn stepped forward. Her armor was bright green, but her eyes were dark. We cannot let this continue, she said. The hive must be whole. The queen looked at her and slowly nodded. We must find balance later. Tomas and the queen walked through the tunnels. I cannot hold the hive together alone, she said softly. The Minlink is our strength and our chain. Tomas thought for a moment. Maybe the hive needs to learn how to be many in one at the same time. She looked at him, surprised. How? By letting each Jarn keep their own thoughts, but still share when they choose. Like friends talking, not a single voice. The queen smiled faintly. That is a new way. That night, Tomas dreamed again. He saw a field of stars, each one shining bright but different. They moved together in patterns, but each kept its own light. A voice whispered, unity and difference. He woke, feeling calm. The queen was there, waiting. You understand, she said. This is what I want for my people. The next day, Tomas and the queen called a meeting. Jarn from many parts of the hive gathered. Tomas spoke first. We cannot be the same and different at once, he said. But maybe we can try. Like a team, each person unique, but working together. The young Jarn who spoke before nodded. We want this. The elders listened. Some were quiet, others thoughtful. Ren spoke last. It is risky, but without change, the hive will fall. The queen looked around. We will try. We will grow. Weeks passed. The hive changed slowly. Jarn began to think alone and together. They shared stories, dreams, and fears. Some still struggled, but many smiled in new ways. Tomas watched the hive grow like a living tree. Its branches strong but free. The queen visited him one evening. You saved us from ourselves, she said. Tomas smiled. We save each other. But far away, beyond the hive, danger waited. A fleet of unknown ships approached Varela. They were silent, powerful, and ready to conquer. The Queen and Tomas looked at the stars. The future was uncertain, but together they were ready. The sky above Varela burned with strange colors. Red and orange streaked across the green clouds. Tomas stood beside the Queen on a high platform deep inside the hive. Both looked out toward the horizon dot in the distance. Huge ships appeared dark, shapes moving steadily through the sky. They were different from anything Tomas had ever seen. They carried weapons, machines, and thousands of unknown soldiers. The invaders have come, the Queen said softly. Tomas felt his heart beat faster. Are we ready? She turned to him, her eyes steady. We must be. But now, the hive is stronger. Because of you. Tomas nodded. Because of us. Inside the hive, the Jarn prepared. The warriors polished their armor, sharpened their claws, and gathered in groups. The Queen's advisors moved quickly, sending messages through the Minlink. Tomas watched as the hive came alive, not just with fear, but with hope. The changes they had made, the freedom to think alone, and together had created something new. The hive was no longer just one mind, but many minds working as one. Tomas knew this would be tested. That night, Tomas walked alone through the hive tunnels. He thought about the future. He remembered Earth, his home, his family. He thought about the message he had found, the hope that humans once sent to this world. And he thought about the Queen and the hive he now called home. A soft voice called behind him. Do you fear the fight? Tomas turned. Sarah stood there, her eyes shining. I do, he said honestly. But fear can make us stronger. It reminds us what we protect. She smiled. I will stand with you. The next day, the invaders arrived. The sky filled with strange shaped ships that shot bright beams of energy. The jungle shook as explosions hit the ground. Jarn warriors rushed forward, claws flashing, armor glowing. Tomas stood with the Queen on the platform. She raised her hand, and a wave of light spread through the hive. Jarn across the land felt its strength, courage, and unity. The battle began. Tomas fought beside the warriors. He ran through the jungle, dodging beams and jumping over fallen trees. He helped the Jarn who were hurt and encouraged those who faltered. The Queen led from the front, her armor shining like a star. She fought with grace and power, inspiring all who saw her. The invaders were strong, but the hive was stronger. In the middle of the battle, Tomas was hit. A sharp beam grazed his shoulder. Pain flared, but he stood firm. The hive's medicine healed quickly. His body fought back like never before. He looked up and saw the Queen surrounded by enemies. Without thinking, Tomas charged. Together, they pushed the invaders back. As the sun rose, the battle ended. The invaders retreated, their ships disappearing into the stars. The hive was bruised but alive. The Queen turned to Tomas. You are not possible, she said again. Her voice soft but proud. Tomas smiled. Maybe that's true, but maybe impossible is just a new beginning. The hive began to rebuild. Jarn and Tomas worked side by side, creating a new future. The Queen called a meeting. We have learned much, she said. We are stronger, freer, and ready for what comes next. Tomas looked around the room, seeing faces full of hope. Together, he said, we can face anything. And so, on the world of Varela, a new dawn rose. One where many minds could be one. Where fear was met with courage, and where the impossible was possible.